So the histology here is, when we talk about the nervous system, we're talking about cells, two types. The neurons, which are the star players, and the glial cells, which are the supporting. Okay? So this is the main star, the leading man. And the glial cells are the supporting actors and actresses of the nervous system. So, remember that neurons are excitable. Action potentials happen frequently. When you fall asleep, do action potentials in your brain stop? No. Okay? Action, even when you are asleep, action potentials will still occur within your brain. When do action potentials stop? When you're dead. Yes, very good. We classify neurons according to the number of neurites. When we say neurites, we're talking about, very good, neuronal processes. This is anatomy, right? This is where we're doing the anatomy. And according to size. And according to function as well. The glial cells, as I mentioned, are supporting actors or players in the nervous system. Okay? They are the connective tissue of the CNS. No matter how much electrical activity you give to a glial cell, it will never ever conduct or transmit an action potential. It is not excitable. It's more for structural function, it's more for support of the cell. Of the nervous system. Okay, so here we go. According to the number of neurites or neuronal processes, okay, the unipolar type amazingly has no dendrites. And you may say, how the hell will it synapse if there are no dendrites? Later, we'll actually learn that there are different types of synapses. But for the unipolar type, a single axon will actually divide into a peripheral and a CNS branch. An example of this is actually the cranial nerves. Now, the most common types are actually the bipolar and the multipolar type. The bipolar type has one dendrite, one axon. What does dendrite do? Receives the signal. Okay? Another way to remember the dendrite is it's the antenna. It receives the signal. Okay? Speaking of antenna, how come cell phones don't have antennas? Yes, very good, Andre. It's internal. Way back when cell phones had antennas, I actually remember this. Cell phones were bigger than bars of soap. And you actually had an antenna that if your signal was weak, you can actually extend your antenna to get a better signal. Okay? Those were during the days when cell phones were analog. Now it's all internal. So please remember, the dendrite is the antenna. Most of the CNS are either of these two types. Please note that the retinal ganglia, what's the retinal ganglia? Okay, these are the conducting cells in your retina. So the retinal ganglia is of a bipolar type. Okay? And the multipolar type, you have dendrites, multiple dendrites, and a single axon. Remember this, neurons, okay, as time goes by, actually develops new connections. They develop new connections, they develop more dendrites, they develop more receptors. And when that happens, you have this perception that you're getting smarter. It's actually true. Okay? So we'll talk about that more in learning. Memory learning. Now, according to the size of the neuron, there's a Golgi type 1 and the Golgi type 2. The Golgi type 1 actually has a single long axon. You will see this mostly where? In the spinal cord. Remember I told you? How does a pinprint in your foot Right? How do you feel it instantaneously in your brain? Because of a very long axon. Okay? So the motor cells in your spinal cord, most of the stuff in your spinal cord have very long axons. How long is this axon? Is it one axon from the brain all the way down there? Sometimes it's 3 axons. Okay, we'll learn this. One axon, second axon, and a third axon towards here. Now, for motor type 2, it's a star-shaped configuration, and most of the cerebral cortex and cerebellar cortex is comprised of the type 2. So we all know this, that dendrites are the ones that receive the signal, the antenna. The body is the one that controls the activities of the cell. The axon hillock is where this is actually more or less the conducting system to send out an impulse, the hillock. The axons are the one that conducts impulses away from the body, and the nodes around here are the gaps in between your these myelinated segments. Okay, myelinated segments of the axon. And there's the synaptic terminal at the end, which synapses with either the next dendrite or another axon or the cell body. That's the reason why unipolar type do not have dendrites, because they usually synapse with the cell body or another axon. So, axonal transport. Almost all of our signals in our brain undergo what's called anterograde axonal transport. Anterograde means forward. Okay? Forward transport from dendrites to the cell body to the hillock all the way to the end of the axon. Okay? The protein that facilitates this direction of transport, please take note, it's called kinesin. Okay? Kinesin. However, there are some conditions in the body that will actually invoke a retrograde axonal transport pattern. And these are the list of conditions that travel up the neuron in a backwards direction. Please include here, so nerve growth factors, herpes simplex virus, tetanus, and botulinum. There's one more I forgot to put in here, rabies. Okay? So the rabies virus is the one that travels in a retrograde transport direction. Okay? So crossing over to neuroanatomy. What cellular organelle is particularly increased in neurons? One, approach it logically. Neurons work 24/7. What organelle do they need? Aside from mitochondria, not just energy that they need, they also need something else. You're close. Ribosomes, what's next? RAP-ER. Okay, that's why I said you're close. Okay? Neurons need a lot of rough endoplasmic reticulum because all of this activity requires a lot of protein. Okay? Okay, neuroana. Okay, neuroana again. The rough endoplasmic reticulum in the CNS is in the form of what substance or structure? Starts with the letter M. M, not M. Yes, I heard it. Who said it? Very good. Nasal bodies or nasal substance. Okay, very good, Dr. Han. Okay? Nasal substance or nasal bodies. This is what we call rough endoplasmic reticulum in the CNS. Conversely, what do you call the smooth endoplasmic reticulum in the muscles? Very good, Dr. Han.